Hey everybody, so in this series of videos we're going to talk about how we can connect the work that we've been doing with ArrayLists into our Java draw and see how they can kind of like work together to create some cool stuff. So in the interest of cool stuff, for this very first one, let me show you something that's I think is cool. So I'm going to press a bunch of buttons, I'm going to make a bunch of circles on the screen. So far this should look very similar to what we've done in previous work, kind of just creating circles, creating ovals on the screen, not a big deal. The big deal should be that when I hit the space bar, they're all going to change colors. Okay, and so that's actually going to be your task for this first Java Draw assignment, just to recreate that. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to kind of like give more hints as I go, but if you feel like, hey, I think I can do that, that's an appropriate level of challenge for me, stop the video right now and go off and get coding. If you feel like you need a little bit more support, stick around and I'll work through kind of how we might make this happen. I'll give you some kind of baby steps for it. Giving people some time to leave. Okay, hopefully, so if you're still here, we can talk through a little bit more about kind of what's going on behind the scenes. I still can't give you everything because I need you to be able to think through some of this, how this might work, how you can apply some of the things you've done already. But I'll give you a couple pointers in here. Well, this is about ArrayLists, right? So even though it looks like when I click this button, it looks like I'm just creating circles on the screen. What I'm really doing is I am adding these. Yes, I am creating circles on the screen, but I'm also adding them to an array list so I can kind of collect them all together. This array list is something that I declared as a global variable because I need to see it across, I need to see it within the mouse down method. And there's no really other way for me to be able to see it except for making it a global variable. So you can see back to some more scope and sequence things from previously. But let's just say that's the very first thing I need to do. I need to have an array list. And I think something I've seen with students before is when we declare an array list, you say like array list, and then you need to specify the type of thing. Previously, we've been doing integers or maybe strings. In here, we're going to need to declare that type to be oval. Okay, and we'll make whatever the name is. And it's going to be equal to a new array list. And yeah, it has to be filled with ovals or rectangles, whatever you want to do. We're doing ovals for this one, but could really be filled with whatever Java draw shape you want. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good place to start from. We're clicking, we're creating circles, we're adding them to an array list. The array list is a global variable. And then, all right, so I said that when we hit spacebar, oops, I'm not clicking the right thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording there. When I click spacebar, it's going to change all these colors. So I want you to think through like, okay, how can I use, okay, well, first of all, spacebar is like, you'll have to check the Java draw documentation, which I'll try and link in the video. But there's that key down method. And we wanna have to do something with like public void key down, and we need to check to see if the spacebar is pressed. You have to look back to some previous work if you don't remember how to do that. But then, okay, so we have it recognizing that a spacebar has happened, and then, okay, what needs to happen? How can we almost gave away the word, how can we look through all of our variables, all of our circles that are stored inside of this array list and do something to each one of them? In this case, we're changing the color, but how can we do something to each one of those things that's stored inside the list? What kind of tool do we have that would make that happen? You know, I'm gonna try and leave it right there, but once you think through like, okay, how can I make these all change colors? You could also do other things. Like for example, you could have all of these circles move. There's a lot of different things you could do with that, but I'm just gonna leave it there. Hopefully that helps. Of course, I'll be here. Let me know if you need some help.